Rob Smith back again, and welcome to episode one of Fighter Diaries, a new series where I talk to your favorite fighters, coaches, promoters. It could be anyone involved in fighting. And delighted to be joined by one of my favorite people in the MMA space right now, Mr. Leon Firearms. Leon, how we doing, mate?
I'm doing good, mate. How about yourself?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. So it's a new series where we're going to talk about everything about yourself from your childhood to fighting to what you want to do after fighting. So we'll start from the beginning. So talk to me, what was it like growing up you're from North Ormsby, yeah?
Yeah, no, Farmsby.
So what was life like for you growing up in North Ormsby as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, it was all right. It, to be honest, we used to play out. We used to play out. I don't really see that happening anymore, but we used to just
No, you don't see it no more, do you? It's a
yeah.
shame.
I think I was just the last generation where we were still playing out. You know what I mean? So it used to be a big field, doggy field. We all used to hang out on there, play football, fight. Um, but yeah, it was good. I mean, we used to just get up to nothing really, just climbing trees, stuff like that. Now really, I was never getting myself into bother. To be honest, I was never that type of kid. I mean, a few occasions probably, but not too serious. I wasn't really a naughty kid, but I always end up fighting or something like that. But now major.
And were you athletic as a kid? Did you were you into like football? Most kids were into football. Were you playing football as a
Yeah,
kid?
yeah. We always had a kick about, climbing stuff, running about, just being kids like. So I think that probably translates a bit because now you see people, kids not really doing much, and then they come in the gym and they're just been on their iPad all their life and they can't do a roly poly. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that, mate. And so, what is there any particular moment or influence that made you kind of get into fighting?
My dad always liked fighting. You know what I mean? He was always watching the boxing, staying up watching Joe Calzaghe or whoever it was. So sometimes I'd be awake for that when I was a kid and be watching it and just be always around like that fighting and boxing and stuff. And I always liked fighting, whether it was in the wacky warehouse, on the field, messing about, play fighting, whatever it was. I always enjoyed it. So I'd probably just say being around it from young with my dad and that. And I don't know. I think it's just something you either like or you don't. You know what I mean? I'm one of them that like it.
And what about fighting? Do you know? Could you tell what it was that you liked about it, or was it just something you just liked?
Um, I could, Probably when I was a kid, I couldn't tell. To be honest, I just knew I liked it. It was good. I just enjoyed it. Like I don't know. It's a bit weird, isn't it? But it's fun in it, when you're in combat and you're having a fight with someone, they're trying to get you, you're trying to get them. You want to win, your ego gets activated. It's just fun.
And when you first decided that you wanted to get into did you start in boxing? Is that correct?
Yeah, I started boxing when I was 8. My dad took me down to the gym. I remember the day actually, the exact day. We were I was playing out. I was meant to go around my friend's house, and for some reason it didn't go. I can't remember why. But my dad was like, "I'll take you down the old boxing gym, my old boxing gym." I was like, "Yeah, let's go." Just to watch and that. And I got there, walked in, and I seen people sparring in the ring, people on the bags and that, and I was like, "Well, this is like a Rocky movie. I want to do this." And as soon as I seen it, I was like, "Dad, I want to do it. I want to do it." Then I just started from there, and I picked it up quite quick, and then yeah, the rest is just chipping away.
So it says say that your dad was quite keen for you to get involved in it, but how else did the rest of your family kind of react to you getting involved in combat?
My mum wasn't about. My mum passed away when I was 7, so she didn't really have a say on it. But yeah, it was only my dad really, So it was just I mean, my sister was young herself. She didn't really care about what I was doing. Like, so my nana never watches me fights. Like, she's not keen on seeing me getting punched in the head. So yeah, it's just my dad really.
Fair enough, mate. And I don't have to talk about it, but was losing your mum at such a young age? Did that sort of what did that affect have on you as a child?
I mean, yeah, I mean that young age, it's just a bit confusing. You know what I mean? You don't really know what's going on. Obviously, when you get older, it's all a bit more clear. But at the time you're a kid, you're a bit confused. But I don't know. I just liked boxing. It give me that, give me something to do. Something I enjoyed. So I always just gravitated towards it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a good distraction from just everyday life sort of thing.
I guess you could say distraction. Yeah, I mean, I was just a kid who enjoyed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just what it was.
Well, I think that's the vibe I get from you as a fighter because I've spoken to so many fighters now in my time doing this, and you can see some of them who they don't really actually like, they don't love it. They kind
Yeah,
of they're just doing it because they don't know what else to do. Whereas when I speak to you, I speak to George, I speak to Harry, I speak to all you guys from MFA, you can all see that you actually really enjoy it and you actually love doing it, and it's refreshing because I think it makes for a better interview for myself. But also, I think it's nice to see people, chasing their passions.
yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, you couldn't say it any better. If you, I think fighting's only something you should do if you really enjoy it. To be honest, I mean,
Yeah, I don't.
if you really want to do it. You know what I mean? If you're half in like, oh, it looks cool on telly, do I do it? Oh, I don't really like it, but I want to do it. Then, if you have any sort of second thoughts, you don't want to do it. Since I was a kid, I knew it was something I wanted to do for the rest of my life until I die. To be honest, as dramatic as that sounds.
And so, what was your first experiences in boxing?
First experience in boxing, I was young. I can't really remember much, but I remember just shadow boxing and stuff. I remember looking about, to be honest, and like other kids would just be like daydreaming and stuff and just like doing it. I was like, well, what are you even coming for? You know what I mean? And I used to like tidy all the boxing gloves up. I used to just, and I remember one I think I've been going a few weeks. And my boxing coach at the time, it was my dad's old one. He was called Dennis Power. I think I must have been about 10 at this point, something like that. But he pulled me to the side after one of the sessions and was like, you're really coming on good. And even though it was just a small thing, but as a kid, it was like the biggest thing ever. The coach has said to me, "Oh, you're coming on really well. Stick at it." And I was like, "Wow, that it just proper spared me on." I always remember that moment for some reason. And yeah, it just gave me a real buzz, and I was like, I can't wait for this, just to keep going and end up having fights and stuff like that.
And how old were you when you had your first fight?
I had a skills bout at 10, so it's one of them fights where there's like no winner. It's on a boxing show, like, and yeah, I was 10. I remember walking out thinking like, what the fuck? This is a bit mad. I remember being a bit nervous and stuff, so I think I got that out of the way early. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being young, competing. Obviously, there was no winner, like, but I was still going in there. 10-year-old, gloves up to my arms here, about to fight 30 kilo. But yeah, it was good. I have fond memories of it actually.
And so, how long were you involved in boxing for before you made the transition to MMA?
um, so I started at 8 and I left when I was 15, so about 7 years.
And so, what made you want to transition into MMA? Because I feel like a lot of people who start in boxing tend to stick with it.
Yeah, I just started watching him. First I was playing the game a lot. I knew about like the UFC and stuff like that, but I wasn't really too into it. And then obviously Conor McGregor made it big. And then I was playing the game and I started watching like old fights, like old Ultimate Fighters, the old
Yeah, yeah,
seasons. And I was like,
yeah.
this is sick. And it was like brutal. And I remember just starting to think like, I wonder, you know what I mean? These are probably better than me, these. And then I went on a few loss streak in boxing and I wasn't really enjoying it anymore. Then I won one and I was like, you know what, I won there and I don't think I enjoy it anymore. And that was just the top and bottom of it. And I just got bored of it. Do you know what I mean? It was like
Yeah, yeah.
quite repetitive. Just you go in, you hit the bag, you do a few drills, you spar, and it was just the same thing, just working your hands. And then when I was watching MMA and there was kicks, wrestling, people going for arm bars and all this cool stuff it seemed, and I was just like, yeah, I want to do that. I just typed in MMA gyms in Middlesbrough. I didn't even know if we had any like. And then obviously MFA came up, Abdul's place, and then I just went there one day, and then when I was 15, I didn't stop going since.
Can you remember what your first training session was like at MFA?
Yeah, I can actually. I remember we walked in, and then Harry came up. He was like, "You the one who messaged me?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And he was like, "I just jump on the mats," and I was there with like trackies on and a quarter zip North Face top, and everyone else had like fucking tight shorts on and rash guards and stuff. I was like, oh, I'm not meant to be here. And then we started pummeling. There was some sweaty guy with his armpits out, and I was like, this is mad. I don't know about all this. But then we sparred like the first session. They were like, this is just light, and I didn't really know much about that because in boxing there's not really such thing as a technical spar. I'm sure there is like, but not that I was aware of. And then yeah, I just got. I remember Reese Abdul's son took me down and like triangled me, and he was like 12, and I was like, right, yeah, this sport is superior. And there was a girl there, and she sat sparring, and she started chopping my leg down, and I was like, I can't feel my leg, and she just battered me, to be honest. And I was like, right, this can't be happening. I need to keep going.
And how influential were the likes of Abdul, Harry, and George like, so early on in your career?
Yeah, massively. I mean, when you go in there somewhere like that and you've been watching MMA and you've been like, I want to do that. And I actually Googled before I went to the gym. I was like watching their fights and stuff, before I went. So when I see them in person, I was like, there's the ones I've been watching. And then to see them train and stuff and how good they were, I was like, wow, I need to get like them.
What
And
was
that
your
was the
first amateur
goal.
fight like in MMA? Was it like, was it, did you have that nerves when you compared to when you were 10 years old? And how old were you when you had your first MMA fight?
I was actually 18 when I had my first fight. It would have been a bit sooner, I think, but COVID happened and like other things happened, and I just never got round to it. But when I was 18, I had my debut in on Almighty. It was in Barnsley, and yeah, that was fun. I mean, it was different to boxing, like because it's a bit more walking out there. The production's different as well. I mean, in boxing, you're fighting the local. You know what I mean? And there's just people in there having pints watching it. Where this was like more of a like an event thing. So I enjoyed that as well. To be honest, I found it cool. There was lights, a little walk. I got a walk out song and stuff like that. So I felt like the boy, to be honest. And then after I got that first win, I just again was in love with it.
Was getting that first win the sort of moment where you realized that like this is the career that you want to pursue?
Do you know what about? I knew I wanted a career in fighting somewhere all my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once I made that transition over to MMA, when I was about 6 months deep, I already knew that's what I wanted to do. I was fully in. So, but yeah, that just what would you say reaffirmed it that I
Yeah.
wanted to be a MMA fighter.
And your amateur career was a bit different to most people's. Most people have like 10, 15 fights. I think how many fights did you have? Like four or five?
Yeah, I only had four amateur fights.
And so I know we spoke before and you were saying how you didn't, if things were different, you probably wouldn't have gone pro after four fights. And so when you got the offer to join the MMA Fight Academy and move abroad, was there any part of you that thought maybe I'm not ready for this?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I was like, you know what I mean, pro straight away. I've only had four fights, and I've had like, there's people like I don't know Joe, for example. He was on his like I think ninth or tenth, and he wasn't thinking about going pro anytime soon. So I was like, it's it's a bit of a big jump, like amateur professional. It is a big jump when you think about it. So there was that, but I remember I spoke to Abdul one day and I was like, Abdul, like, what you reckon about pro? Is it dip? He went, come on, you just punch him. You get the elbow as well. Smaller gloves, better for you. And I was like, all right, fair enough. I guess I'll do it.
And so when you got the offer from the MMA Fight Academy, was that like an offer? Did they discuss about you moving to America, or was it at first just going pro?
No, it was. I think George got the message and was like, "Is Leon pro yet? We've got an opportunity for him out in the States potentially." And they're like, "No, he's not pro. We were thinking about turning pro in a few years after he's had a few more amateur fights." And he was like, okay, cool, just let me know. And then I started discussing it with Harry and George and stuff. And I was like, that's a big opportunity, that like going to America. And then I can't remember how long it took me to realize I wanted to do it. I mean, I wanted to do it straight away, do you know what I mean? But like to actually think about it logistically and say, yeah, I can't remember how long it was, but we said, yeah, let's do it. This would be a good opportunity.
Was that a hard decision to come towards? Because you're kind of leaving behind everything, your friends, your family, everything. You kind of, literally moving across the other side of the world to go chase a dream. Was that a hard decision to make?
I mean, I wouldn't say I had a decision. I'd say I was more just excited, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to do fighting all your life, and you get told like there's not much going on in fighting, many opportunities. You kind of just have to keep chipping away, and then when that came up, it was like not even pro yet. You get to go to America, live there, train there. It's like it's a no-brainer, really, innit? So
Was was the fact that you were offered that opportunity kind of like a defining moment defining moment for you thinking like I belong in this sport? Like they wouldn't have contacted me if I wasn't good enough.
100%, yeah. It made me think like, you know, why would they reach out to me? It's not because I'm just extra lucky. It's obviously because they see something in me and think I have the potential to do it as well. So that gave me a bit of confidence, and yeah, it just felt like it could have been anyone, and I got picked. So I just felt like the stars were aligning, and it just felt like yeah, it felt amazing.
Why do you think it was you that got picked after of only having fought amateur fights and you were offered that opportunity over people who probably had, double the experience? Why do you think you were offered that opportunity over those people?
I think maybe because I had a few knockouts in my fights. I think maybe they seen that they thought, they want knockouts, don't they? That's what
Yeah.
promotions want. But I remember Graham. I seen him after one of like Harry and George's fights, and I just went up to him and I was like, I know he's the boss of Cage Warriors, so I just went up to him and I was like, look, I'm gonna be world champion. I'm gonna be in Cage Warriors by the time I'm 21. I'm gonna be champion by 24, and just started telling him all these fucking crazy, not that crazy, but at the time when I was a 1-0 amateur, it seemed a bit crazy to be
Yeah, yeah.
saying, but I just sold myself as much as I could, like, and I was like, let's get a picture, and I showed him my fight and everything. So I think he might have remembered me from that, and then when he seen me getting knockouts and stuff, he thought he'll be a good fit for the team.
And did you face any challenges when making the transition to going pro?
Um, Challenges, not really, to be honest. I remember, being a bit like, there's going to be all these pro fighters here. I've never even had 5 amateur fights. Like, I remember thinking that, what's going to happen. But once I got there and I got mixing it up, I just started, picking up the pro game. And when you're around pros and you live like one, like everyone else does, you kind of just, slowly become one.
And what's it been like being with the MMA Fight Academy over in California? What's that whole experience been like for you?
Been amazing. I mean, a young lad from Doggy who just loves fighting. He's always loved fighting. And then it got me in, one of the best places in the world, San Diego, California, where it's sunny. It looks like a movie. Everything's, it's the American dream, and I'm living it. So, yeah, the whole thing's just been amazing. Sometimes I still think, like, I can't believe this is, this happened. Like,
Do you ever get homesick while you're over there? Or is it just you're too busy enjoying the sun?
I remember the first time I went out there, I got really homesick. Like, the first 2 months I was all right, and then the last month I was like, fucking hell, I miss my family. Do you know what I mean? But I just you just got through it. Like, but I remember I was down for a bit. Like, fuck, I miss home. But then when I've been back now, it just kind of feels like a second home. I don't really get that. Like, home. Obviously you miss your family and stuff. Like, I'm not crazy, but it just yeah, it kind of just feels like a second home now. Especially when you're with all the lads and that, and everyone's in the same boat. You kind of just become like a family over there.
I was going to say it's a bit of a different experience with the MMA Fight Academy because a lot of gyms, it's like you've got people who are in different stages of your careers. Whereas at your gym, these are all kind of in very similar positions where these are all still up and comers. Some on the brink of the UFC, some contender series guys, but these are all around similar sort of record and skill level, would you say?
Yeah, I mean that makes it cool as well because we're all in like that start of our journey, just leveling up to make that big push to get the belt. get more fights, get more wins, and get that UFC. So it's cool. We're all just on the same vibe, same goals, just working towards it together.
And what's been the proudest moment of your MMA career so far?
My proudest moment of my career, um, probably my debut on Cage Warriors. Like, I mean, that was amazing because obviously I seen Harry and George fighting on it, and I mean I cornered them before I even had an amateur fight. So it was yeah, quite surreal. It felt. I remember I got in the cage and I see myself on a big screen behind it, and I was like, I'm the boy. I'm here. I've done it. And then to get the win as well, and get a contract, it was sick.
And you've had a lot of success early on, but you are coming off the first loss of your career back at Cage Warriors Dublin. And so, talk to me about that experience of suffering your first loss as a professional. Was it mentally tough on you at all?
I mean, a little bit. You know what I mean? It's not ideal losing. I mean, you put everything into it. You know, your whole life is MMA, and then when you get in there and you come up short, it's not. No, I wouldn't say it's fun, like, but I think it's an important thing to happen. And yeah, it wasn't like I was like, oh, I've lost now. I'm shit. I'm not doing this anymore. It was just a bit like, fuck. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that?
Yeah, yeah.
But he was the better man on the night. Do you know what I mean? And he beat me. He had a good game plan. He executed it well, and he beat me. But it's I've learned so much already. Just initially after the fight as well, I was like, that experience is gonna level me up. And I was always like positive about it. You know what I mean? So just got back in the gym and I'm just cracking away. You know, I'm ready to get back in that win column. Tell you that much.
And so, what were the biggest lessons that you learned from that whole experience?
Just obviously a few technical things and working certain stuff. But I think I was too focused on like when stuff was going wrong. You know what I mean? Like in the fight, I was like, right, that's gone wrong now. Fuck, you're losing, you're losing, you're losing. Instead of just thinking, right, we're in a fight. Do you know what I mean? And just focusing on that. And immediately after Jack the Ripper said that to me, it was like, I think you just weren't as present as you should be. You know, when you're losing, you can't be thinking of the outcome. You have to just think of the present. So took that on board, and obviously just yeah, a lot of things. Just keep training and just be. I don't know. I feel like I'm just. I don't know. I just enjoy. I'm really enjoying learning even more now. Like I'm
Yeah,
feeling like when I am learning stuff, I'm like more locked in. I'm more focused on like actually getting the move down, or it just feels more important, if you know what I mean.
yeah, of course. And I'm curious actually, because obviously you mentioned there how you've been blessed with an opportunity that only some people can dream of, and you've had so much success at such a young age. So how do you stay grounded as a fighter outside out, when you're speaking to people, how do you say so how do you stay humble?
Humble. I mean, if you train MMA, it's hard not to be humble, in my opinion. You know what I mean? When you go in the gym and there's amateurs still, giving you a hard time, and there's obviously Harry and George always there to keep me in check. Abdul's always, he's God knows how old, and he's still mixing it up with us and getting it done, giving us hard rounds. So yeah, I mean, staying humble is just it's quite easy to be honest when you get humbled in the gym all the time. And don't get me wrong, you're humbling yourself to other people, but it's a cycle of the MMA life, innit?
And what do most people not understand about the life as a professional fighter? Is there certain things that make like say for someone like me or who's outside of being a fighter, is there some things that we won't understand?
How many roly polies you have to do? I'm telling you now, the amount of roly polies you have to get into if you get into MMA is crazy. You'll never. I never thought I'd be doing this many roly polies as a grown adult. But but on a serious, things people don't understand about being a professional fighter is probably just like how much dedication it takes. Like literally takes up your whole life. And that's how I want it to be. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but when you see people fighting on the night, it's just like two lads fighting. But when if you actually, think about it, there's two lads who dedicated themselves for the past 3 months, dieted, tried the best in training. I mean, some fighters might not, but for the most part, this is what I think professional fight, like good professional fighters, that's what they do. So I think the more people understand that, the cooler the sport will become for them too.
And one thing I want to touch on is when you fight, you've got the custom kits where it's kind of it's represents like a Middlesbrough badge. And so, talk to me about how proud you represent like the whole of the North East as an area. Because to me, I'm from Teesside, I'm from Stockton. Like I know what the fans are like. I know how much this area means to people. It's a one massive community. So, how proud does it make you to represent that community each time you step into the cage?
Yeah, mint. I mean, the borough and going out there and being from the borough and knowing that people are proud that there's fighters from the borough that are doing well. And like you say, from our area, there's not really much going on, is there? So when there's something going on like that, or someone's good at football, or someone's and they're working their way up, everyone just supports it and gets behind it, as we should. You know what I mean? That's how we get bigger as an area, supporting each other and bringing each other up.
And my final question is, what is the dream for Leon Arms?
The dream for Leon Arms is keep winning, get back. Well, first get back in the win column, and then just keep getting better, keep improving, become the best mixed martial artist I can, and become world champion in the UFC. I mean, what if that isn't your dream as a professional MMA fighter? I don't think you should be doing it. Do you know what I mean? I want to be the greatest fighter in the world, and I'm not going to stop until I get there. I'm either going to get there, which I know I'm going to, or I'm not going to get there, and I'm going to die knowing I tried. But I'm not going to die a what if. I'll tell you that much. But I'm going to do it 100%. I promise you that.
Is that a big thing for motivating you, thinking I don't want to have any what ifs in my life?
Yeah, 100%. Do you know what I mean? If you have a dream, I think you should go for it. You're either the classic in the pub. Oh, I could have done this. I could have done that. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the I done it guy, and I'm gonna be the I done it guy. I put all my eggs in one basket and just went for it, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm gonna do it.
Well, quality, mate. I think that's a really inspiring story. I think there's a lot to learn from your story. And I think a lot of people, a lot of young fighters who, train at MFA and other gyms around yourself, they should learn from you and, take on what you say and I think apply it to their own lives. And I want to thank you just for giving me your time. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you.
Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.